Live from the Liar's Lair. It's the Disinformed Podcast. I'm Shane.
I'm John.
And I'm Michael.
I'm tiptoeing through the fields to steal the virginity of a fairy.
Excuse me? Hashtag hate crime, apparently. Good gracious.
Starting it off right.
And Shane's back in his lane, everybody.
Anyway, welcome. We're happy to have you here. This is going to be an interesting topic for all of us.
Talking about cock?
Cock and stuff. Plumber's cock, I believe, is what we're referring to. If you need to get that puttied up in your butt, that's what John's going to use on the fairies, apparently.
It's fairy. There's one fairy.
No. There's multiple fairies. I've seen Pan's Labyrinth. Don't lie to me.
You gotta believe. If you can get one, you can get
Click
them all.
your heels and count to fuck.
Do you believe in life after shove? Now, before we get drilled down on anything further, Michael, what's the topic this week?
Well, we're actually going to be talking about fairies.
Okay, not really. Oh, you son of a bitch!
We all agree that Tinkerbell is kind of like low-key hot.
Oh, yeah. Particularly Julia Roberts' Tinkerbell.
Oh, from Hook?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, done.
Yeah.
Done.
Without question.
Second
right.
hold to the right and
Back to
straight
the
on till
masturbation.
morning. That's would be what I'm saying. Oh, my God, yes.
That's actually kind of funny. So before we start anything, this is completely an aside. Before I started research on the actual topic, I came across there is a flat earth dating website. Just saying, just putting it out there.
And you came across it.
He
and
came all
on
across
and
it.
through it, and
Are you dating any flat earthers now, or?
thankfully not.
Well, you should have tried some of those pickup lines that we used on the last show, and then you would have gotten somewhere.
As in, I approach them and I start breathing and I say hello.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
That's fair.
It's a good approach.
Say that we're talking about flat Earth.
Yes.
Yes. Saddle up, motherfuckers, because this is about to get interesting. So
I can't do this on my own.
So aside from the topic, I do have to say we have a bit of follow-up. We have some house cleaning we need to do here, Michael. So you better get wide-eyed. Yeah, that's right.
Shit.
Rude eyes, motherfucker.
French fries, motherfucker.
Top thighs. Tell us the story that you've researched now about the pugilistic panda in your bathroom.
Oh, yes. So it actually is. It's okay. All right. I got to set the scene here. So it was a painter. I can't remember his name. Sorry. In the 50s, right after the invention of LSD, he was one of the first people to take it. All right.
Okay.
So he was experimenting, kind of like the elephants on acid thing.
Okay, I was going to say, did elephants paint that?
No, not elephants. No.
Did God paint it?
They're not as good.
Did God paint you?
But he was trying to emulate kind of like a Van Gogh style, so he was trying LSD and he couldn't get a good enough painting. So after enough failures, he actually tried, I think it was PCP, and after he tore off like both of his ears and part of his nose, because PCP is metal as fuck, he painted that with almost like, I would say, the blood. I think it was originally from the nose or something like
It's
that.
all white, though.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think that's what it was.
Did he use homeopathy on it?
That's actually how it got white. He just diluted the blood enough times so
and the water remembered. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. I'm with you. Well, that's exciting because I was curious, and the gentleman's name was T.R. Cuckenstuff.
Ah, that's what
Yes.
it was. Yep.
Just so you know.
yeah,
It's written on the painting. So.
It literally is.
Yeah.
Thank you for the, bloody, Prince of Thieves reference there, because that made me very happy. Did God paint you?
Still convinced we're the only two people in Arizona that have seen that movie.
I think we're probably two of the few people in this country that saw that movie and remembered it well enough to quote it to the extent that
Michael,
I can be.
Prince
So
of
this is a
Thieves
film.
is a Kevin Costner vehicle, and it's their take on Robin Hood.
Wait, it's a vehicle?
Yes.
Like a car?
Yeah.
It's trying to, propel him into the hearts and minds of the American public vehicle.
You mean the hearts and minds of children?
Yes. he touches them
Yeah.
with his arrows of death.
That was the reference.
I just
it was
enjoy-
Kevin Costner, right?
It's always Kevin
yes.
Costner.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Curse them Moors and Saracens.
Right?
If it weren't for their ungodly ways, then we wouldn't have sent Master Robin off to war. What manner of name is Azim? Irish? Kurdish? Moorish. That's one of my favorite scenes ever. Is there no sun in this cursed country? Anywho, we could do
Speaking
this all
of the
day.
country, how flat is it?
The flattest.
How flat do you want it?
Like an 11-year-old girl.
If you order from Subway,
Wow.
do they only... You're the one that touched
Shock
that this time.
factor.
Shane's Lane? You can't take Shane's
I cut
Lane.
him off.
You totally cut me off.
Yeah.
I can't have any more drinks.
Spun out of control.
If they go to Subway, do they only order things on flatbread?
No, they can get rye bread. That's fine.
Oh, as long as it
What,
goes
they don't
up.
live by that lifestyle.
They
what
should.
do you think they everything is flat? Like
It
they
should be.
slash their tires before they drive off to work? Or,
Tires are flat.
Their intellect is flat.
well, their brain is.
Yeah, yeah. It's like gum that's been rolled over by a tire on hot asphalt. By the way, the Apache tracker, and by that I mean the white guy who wears the comically inappropriate Indian headdress and claims that he can read tracks on asphalt.
Someone's been listening to Night Vale.
I have. I'm sorry. Please forgive me.
I was
Moving
gonna
on.
say, is that a reference? Because I sure don't
He
get
claimed after hearing what sounded like a human soul being torn apart by black magic. Sorry, that show's so good. Anywho, please continue along. I won't do another podcast on our podcast. This super
Anymore.
meta. Yes.
Well, I mean, that's setting a 2 record because
Yes.
you referenced a different podcast last time. So,
I did. I'm all over it.
yeah.
Hashtag.
That will make noise if you were to open it. So
Is it Pandora's box? Is Ayn Rand in it?
no, it's just
Oh,
a
it's
bunch
just
of dye.
nerd stuff.
Yeah.
It was.
Did you?
There
I
are a
wasn't
bunch
telling
of,
you
like-
not to open it. I was saying it was
It
going to
was-
make noise if you're
It's
trying
a
to
coffin with 8-sided die in it.
Not
But on the
just
top-
8-sided.
On
It's
the
my
top,
D&D
it looks like a
dice thing.
dragon sucking its own dick.
It's a drag queen.
It's called.
Fairy.
So I'm
That's
gonna go.
actually kind of funny
But there's
because I
D&D die in
believe the opening song was called Ouroboros, and that is a snake
It's
that is
supposed to
sucking
be an
itself
Ouroboros.
off.
Yeah.
Or I guess eating its own ass. You know,
If I could eat
It's
my own ass, I
2019.
would have done it yesterday.
You did.
I tried.
Eat that
Does
booty.
it count if you dip your finger and then put it to your tongue?
I mean,
Well, that's
if
not-
it doesn't, half my relationships have just been invalidated.
So this has been our longest intro that's gone nowhere.
Yep. And we have 2 hours of flat Earth to discuss, so this is going to
Yeah,
be really
apparently.
fun.
Well, so thankfully, I took that and divided it into probably a trilogy, like I said before. So this one will be Flat Earth 1, The Phantom Menace, because I'm just going to rip
Man-ass.
those. Man-ass. Sorry, yes, I don't want to get copyrighted. The Phantom Man-ass.
Also, I should state for all of you Dark Souls aficionados out there, the Tritonite of your trilogy there, if you don't mind.
Oh.
welcome.
yeah.
We all play Dark
Look at
Souls
that
in this
lore.
house.
We do.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's
All hail
good.
the Crimson King.
And praise the sun.
I would knock over things, but I was gonna, praise it. Praise the sun. Okay, so
Take
just
me away.
covering I realized after I said it that I didn't actually give the website. So the Flat Earth dating website is actually flatearthsingles.com. If only they sponsored us, but no, I didn't reach out.
They'll sponsor us next week, I think.
Hopefully. Maybe. The main description for their website is, as someone with non-mainstream beliefs, finding a meaningful relationship match can be difficult. And that's why they created Flat Earth.
Understandably so.
I
And
had someone flat out tell me that the reason that I don't believe in the flat earth is because I won't open my mind. So it's people on that site, they've all opened their minds far enough? Mm-hmm. Is that what I'm...
I mean,
They're all
hey,
subscribers to Gaia.
and a new Tool album just came out, so we're prying open our third eye.
Yeah.
It's all good.
That's good
It
stuff.
is.
So
let's get into this fuck trash.
So I will actually, going with what you
Coming in
usually
hot.
do. So going with what you usually do for multiple tabs, I will say that the 3 wiki pages that I will be using or referencing to is a man named Samuel Rowbotham. It's British, so
You do and you'll clean it up.
You have to say it that way every time.
Yes.
Rowbotham.
I want a hot buttered noodle in a bread bowl.
I want a Samuel Rowbotham. The Bedford level experiment and modern flat earth societies will be the references that I'm using.
Nice. And we will also be putting links in the show descriptions for you to get to some of this stuff as well, so we can help you out, particularly with some of the more convoluted or involved URLs. So.
Mm-hmm. Like flat earth single? No. I won't be including a link for that.
They're
you
not
can
very
search
involved
for it.
at all.
That's going to be
this-
the ad floating across our YouTube video right
they
now.
just
For
lie
those
there.
that are...
I wish. Well, when I looked into the website, the first time when it was like about us or something like that, I clicked it, it automatically redirected me to a hentai website. So I would recommend not
And did you
using that
promptly
website.
come in your pants like 6 times?
Well, after the fact, yes, but it was because I wasn't expecting it. It was like the Spanish Inquisition.
I never expect to come.
That's the spirit.
That's why you're married.
Becky,
I'm sorry.
So, the first thing we'll be starting with is how the modern flat Earth belief began, and it began with an English writer. Read writer, not scientist. Samuel Rowbotham. He conducted an experiment in 1838 to measure the curvature of the Earth. It was called the Bedford level experiment.
He stuck his dick in the ground and wriggled it around in a gopher hoe until something bit it.
it is indeed flat.
I can feel the
It was
flatness.
flaccid. Anyway, so the Bedford level experiment is a series of observations that were carried out. I'm already starting the seizures in my brain. Cool.
Did he put a level on the Earth? Is this what the Bedford level experiment is?
Close.
Okay, I'm
Close. So it is a series. It was a series of observations carried out along a 6-mile length of the Old Bedford River in the UK.
I love 6 Mile.
Okay, it is a straight. It
better
is a
than 8 Mile.
straight shot from the beginning to the end of the length. So there's no curving. There's nothing blocking the way. You can see straight from there to there.
Well,
right?
this is the first time we got a straight shot on this show. I'll guarantee it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amen.
So the curvature of the Earth can actually be seen from this length. Surprising. I honestly didn't believe it originally.
Really?
But
What was
Yes.
the length again?
6 miles. Yeah. So, what was
I'm gonna call bullshit right there.
No.
Really?
As far, yeah.
You can
it's
see
only
in
like
6 miles.
Yeah, yeah.
curve
So
of the
you can
Earth.
see, yeah. It's not like it's dropping off or anything like
Right.
that, but you can, if you were to set like,
Or is it?
if you were to set something like a 10-foot pole or something like that, if you were to measure it without something that we'll get to in a moment, part of it will disappear.
Okay.
Right? So you don't need that long of a distance for it to start going.
I'm impressed.
Yeah,
Tell that to
yeah,
my wife.
maybe.
But
Okay, so Rowbotham, pussy, oh, that was a nice peek there.
Is that roll pussy? Is that
roll pussy, roll tide.
Damn it! Damn it! Okay, Rowbotham,
We're never getting through this show, kids. I'm sorry.
he waded into the water, okay, and watched a boat row away from him using a telescope held just above the water. So he was wading in the water, okay,
We
had a telescope in his eye or something, and he looked as the boat, kind of like what you, like watching a boat disappear over the horizon.
yeah.
Or watching your parents
Absolutely.
leave you.
Yes.
Yeah, that's how it
Well,
went.
they've already gone, so, damn it. I'm not on it. Okay. He claimed to see the top of the mast even 6 miles away, even though, according to the calculations, it should be some 11 feet below his line of sight. Okay. So he repeated these experiments several times over the years, but his claims received little attention because most people are like, okay, why are you saying this? Doesn't
Also,
matter.
your name is Rowbotham.
Yes. I mean, this was like the 1800s, so you're thinking like industrial, like capitalist with the giant walrus mustache, waffling and all that stuff. His claims received little attention until 1870, when a supporter by the name of John Hampden, so still English,
founded
offered
the Hampton
a wager.
He did.
Okay, that he could show by repeating Rowbotham's experiment that the Earth was flat.
Many Rowbothams died
So
to bring us
Rowbotham
these
didn't
plants.
think that the Earth was flat.
No, he did.
Oh, he did? Okay.
He did, yeah.
Sorry,
he just
that context made it seem like the other guy was like,
well-
I can prove it is. Trust me.
he said the Earth was flat based on his calculations, but no one gave a shit.
Well,
Yeah.
good.
It
No
was only
small
when money
wonder.
was offered. So this John Hampton offered a wager that he could show by repeating Rowbotham's experiment that the Earth was actually flat. The noted naturalist and qualified surveyor, so someone that actually does that for a living, Alfred Russel Wallace accepted the wager. Okay. Wallace, by virtue of his surveyor training and his knowledge of physics, avoided the errors of the preceding experiments and won the bet. The crucial steps were to set a sight line, 13 feet above the water. So instead of looking at just the water, or just above the water, setting much higher than the water, which reduces the effects of atmospheric refraction, which is important. I'll explain that in a moment.
You're going to explain what that is?
Yes. And then also adding a
stupid.
pole in the middle that could be used to see the bump that was caused by the curvature of the Earth between the two endpoints. So we pretty much tried to break it down instead of saying, it looks like the boat isn't disappearing over the horizon, and instead making it more scientific.
Can we also just point out that at some point, this is where transportation was limited to the extent that they didn't feel you could just, hey, let's all pack up and see if we can fall off the edge of the fucking flat Earth if we believe this is a thing, where we can travel and see things from space, etc.
Oh, eventually I will cover that.
These are lies, but I'm sorry. Just
Yeah. Well, because we know the Earth is hollow. Which,
and flat.
And the moon is
it's
also
a hollowed,
hollow and
flat Earth.
It's flat hollow.
Its curvature is somehow negative, but also zero. It's pretty trippy. Lovecraft would be just creaming his pants.
Yeah.
Really,
It's like a
really.
girl that John dated one time.
So,
Just flat and hollow.
oh, okay. I thought you were gonna say it was Lovecraft.
That's
Lovecraftian.
She had tentacles.
about all of them.
You didn't understand. You just lost your mind trying to deal with her. Anyway, so let me explain atmospheric refraction. So you know how we keep calling CO2 and similar things greenhouse gases, right?
Sure.
So, climate change, which I might eventually cover. Eventually, sorry.
John's a Republican.
Certainly not.
Oof. So anyway, they're called greenhouse gases because they reflect radiation
Rowbotham.
from the sun and Rowbotham. They reflect radiation from the sun, which we also know as light, right? Well, they also reflect light from the surface of the Earth at a slight angle, which is why Rowbotham was able to see something that he wasn't supposed to. Okay. Sound reasonable enough?
Sure.
So instead of you seeing straight, the light kind of bounces off the atmosphere. So the same
It's something to do with cones and rods.
Glass and tubes.
Yeah, so it bounces off the edge of the atmosphere.
I can smell
and comes
really
back,
far.
Like that. Like how those little infographic things that shows the light bouncing up and down. Yeah. So it's that curve kind of shows that it's, okay, all right, yeah.
Okay.
Cool. All right, sweet.
In the same way that someone coming over the horizon walking towards you will have that shimmer effect at points and things.
No, that's
That's
waves.
what I had in my head.
Oh, actually, yes. That is atmospheric refraction. That's how you see mirages. And stuff like
We're
that.
both geniuses, so we need that.
So good on you. Yeah.
You're welcome.
I wanted to try to find something that equated that in a way that made sense to me, and I tried to come close.
That's why it looks like there's water and yeah. Okay. Despite Hampton initially refusing to accept the demonstration, so he was pretty much saying fake news, Wallace was awarded the bet by a referee, an editor for a sports magazine. I wanted to include that because I thought that was legitimate.
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting that the referee was an editor for a sports magazine.
Is that bullshit?
No.
Okay.
And also, with a flat Earth, every game of horseshoes would be rigged.
But
Sorry.
Yeah. So Hampton subsequently published a pamphlet alleging that Wallace had cheated and then sued for his money back. Several protracted court cases ensued, with the result that Hampton was imprisoned for threatening to kill Wallace.
Oh.
and for libel. So
he's
libel
a good
is,
loser. Yeah.
Yes. Libel is something that's
Shane's
more...
been biting his tongue so hard I nearly put a wallet in there.
Subsequently.
Oh. Sorry. Yeah.
Sorry.
Everyone else is screaming too.
All right. Just
I don't know why I put big words in here. I should be reading
it's
at
okay. You're
straight level.
obsequious. It's fine.
Anyway, so just in case the readers at home don't know what libel means, because I wanted to define it, because that's not really something that we
when
encounter.
a girl likes another girl.
Yeah. Libel is a false statement that harms the reputation of someone. That's not really something that you see in the United States, but it's a big deal in, the UK.
Oh, you see it in the United States.
Well,
I mean, Gawker suing, Hulk Hogan
that's
suing
true. Actually,
Gawker
okay,
for libelous
that's
claims.
a fair point.
Yeah,
And in books too, Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, a big part of the beginning and the end of that book is the journalist committed libel, and it takes place in Sweden, and they take it very, very seriously.
Yeah.
That's the only context I have for it.
Well done.
I need to reread that book. Fuck.
They're very good. Stieg Larsson's brilliant and dead.
The Trinity, the trilogy.
The Trinity.
Goddammit.
The Tritonton.
Okay, so the same court had ruled that the wager had been invalid because Hampton retracted the bet and required that Wallace return the money to Hampton.
I feel like I need to be like a third-year law student in order to follow, just this part of the topic.
Essentially, what happened was he made the bet, he lost the bet, he sued for the money back, apparently at some point retracted the bet, threatened to kill the guy, and then talk shit about him.
And then someone came in and said, this is all invalid. You didn't do the bet appropriately.
Something like that,
Okay.
yeah. And then Wallace
all
had to
over
pay the
their
money back.
flat Earth pissing contest. Dick pissing contest. That's
essentially.
what it's called, right? A dick pissing contest.
Dick pissing. Yeah, well, I mean, you can't piss out your mouth.
The funny part was...
Watch me.
Wallace, Hampton
did
wasn't the
last
only
episode.
person that kind of got in trouble. Wallace, who had been unaware of Rowbotham's early experiments...
Who?
Rowbotham! Was also criticized by his peers for his injudicious...
Injudicious?
Wow, we are all way too slappy, and we've got another episode to record
Yeah,
tonight. This is gonna be
his
good.
involvement in a bet to decide the most fundamental and established of scientific facts. So essentially, he got called out by taking up on this offer to try and prove something that people know is already like feeding the trolls.
It's the same thing as like saying, I'm gonna, place a bet to invalidate gravity. It's like, good luck. How are you going to do that? Watch, I throw this ball, it goes up. It's like, yes, it comes back down though. No, but it went up. Obviously, no gravity. If there was gravity, it wouldn't be able to leave the...
It would just float there.
You cheated. You pushed the ball up in the first place. Invalid bet.
Yes,
I take my money back.
And then scientific principles of objects in motion will stay in motion unless, impacted by another force.
Yeah.
Look at you, citing some physics, throwing some physics knowledge.
Hey, listen, I slept through a good number of college courses, I will have you know.
Well, the reason he
you
was
missed
able
nothing then.
the reason he was able to pull those facts out is because of a little phenomenon called quantum microphones.
Are you calling me
Do
fat?
tell. Excuse me? Do tell.
I know how much you like pseudo-science, and when things get science-y when they're explained, to throw the word quantum in there a bunch.
No, see, the reason that I remembered is I drank a bunch of water in the past couple days, and it managed to help bring those courses back to me. The water remembers.
Damn it. You got me. Yeah.
Well,
So, I'm going to mention a little side because I still don't know if you're going to do this later as a different topic. So, so this was all back in the 70s, right?
Okay.
So later on July 25th, 1896, Ulysses Grant Morrow, a newspaper editor, not a scientist, conducted a similar experiment on the old Illinois drainage canal. And I'm happy that I pronounced it correctly.
Well
Illinois,
done.
right? Not...
Illinois.
Yeah. Illinois. The old Illinois drainage canal in the town of Summit in Illinois.
okay.
Unlike Rowbotham, he was seeking to demonstrate that the surface of the earth was curved. Right?
Real Earth has curves.
When he too found his target marker 18 inches above the water and 5 miles distant was clearly visible, what he did his experiment... He concluded that the surface of the Earth was concavely curved, in line with the expectations of his sponsors, some
I see where you're
commune society. Like,
going
honestly, he was sponsored by a communal utopia. So his findings were dismissed by critics as a result of atmospheric refraction again.
So you're getting at concave Earth and hollow Earth theory.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, because I don't know if you guys remember, but I have researched Hollow Moon quite extensively, so I'm very privy to these conspiracy theories.
Yes, you're very well versed.
I am.
Even sans tabs.
The last episode's 30 minutes? I've spent at least 35 minutes.
I mean, that's more than us, so let me mention some other stupid things that Rowbotham did. That was literally the title of the next session.
Thank you for sticking to it.
Can I also just say that it makes me feel like you're Admiral Akbar every time you say that? Rowbotham! Many Rowbothams died to bring us these plans.
So, Rowbotham took his observations and in 1849, so before the wager and everything, he published his work as a 16-page pamphlet under the pseudonym Parallax, so he didn't publish it under his real name.
Parallax?
Ooh.
Yes, which is interesting because that's another form of measuring distance for, like, planets and stuff like that.
There is a character called Parallax, yes. I'm trying to remember where it's from.
Green Lantern.
Yeah. Yes.
Which makes sense because it's a space thing,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Well, also, between The Buried and Me, they have two parts of a concept album that's called Parallax.
We are absolute pop culture aficionados here, as well. You can tell.
That's why I'm just silent for majority of it. There's another reference. I don't know.
That's why we only eat pop chips.
Those are pretty good. Yeah. Okay, so he published that 16-page pamphlet. In 1865, he expanded it into a book called, I'm going to butcher this,
Is that what it's called?
Interesting title. I'm going to butcher this.
Zetetic? Zetetic.
Yeah, Zetetic. Yeah.
I got it right?
Yeah. For once.
Astronomy. So, Zetetic Astronomy, Earth, not a globe. A version of that book, later published in 1881, was 430 pages.
Wow.
Yes. So, his method, which he called Zetetic Astronomy... No. Close. It was a precursor to
Zetetic Astronomy.
It's as credible as the mystery method.
Yes. Models the Earth as an enclosed plane centered at the North Pole and bounded along its perimeter by a wall of ice, with the sun, moon, planets, and stars magnitudes closer to the surface of the Earth. So I think it was thousands of miles above the Earth as opposed to whatever it is now, right? So to define zetetic, it's kind of defined by proceeding by inquiry, kind of like a skeptic. So it's like skeptical astronomy, okay? There was I wanted to note this on the Wikipedia page, there was a footnote for clarification needed, placed as of March 2019, so March of this year, next to the term enclosed plane, saying that the term may need clarification or removal of jargon, whatever the fuck that's supposed to mean. I think enclosed plane makes sense to me, but that's
so
just
essentially
me.
He's saying that it is flat, and that we are surrounded by an ice wall like in fucking Game of Thrones?
Yes.
No, I think what he's saying is that it has both, wings and a tail section and a front section, and that you can fly it anywhere.
Can you raise me up on eagle's wings?
For an enclosed plane. It will take you anywhere, and you get free peanuts.
Jesus fuck. So, the Bedford level experiment convinced him of the flatness of the Earth, and so he began to lecture on the topic, okay? He took a little time to learn his trade. One particular story that I didn't read too much into, but at one point he ran away from a lecture in a place called Blackburn when he couldn't explain why the hulls of ships disappeared before their masts when sailing out to sea. So he literally ran out of a lecture.
How many tabs did he have open?
Not enough, apparently. However, he persisted, and he filled hulls pretty much by charging a 6p a lecture. So I think it was a cheap amount of money. Okay. So he charged like a little bit so people filled up the lectures and everything.
It was probably like a circus sideshow where he's like, spend 6p to come see me talk out of my ass.
Kind of.
And then run.
Yeah, that's a good point, because as he he perfected his arguing, his quick-wittedness and his debating skills were honed such that he could counter any argument with ingenuity, wit, and consummate skill.
Much like any fan of Cardi B, just thinks that an argument is won by speaking the loudest.
Yeah.
I often find that people's volume, it's kind of like a buoy system. So the louder you get, the more the intellect has to dive down in order to support. So it's kind of, just one of those, like a seesaw thing. Is the louder I get, the less intelligent I am.
That's why I'm so loud.
And how?
So, he was finally pinned down to a challenge in Plymouth, in England, not New England, in 1864 by allegations that he wouldn't agree to a test. So that's how they got him to, do this. He appeared at a place called Plymouth Hoe, which is what it's called. It's a large south-facing open public, sort of arena of some sorts.
Posse.
Yes. At the appointed time, he was witnessed by Richard A. Proctor, the developer of Proctor. No, a writer on astronomy. So read an expert. And proceeded to the beach. So they pretty much, the whole idea was they wanted to look through a telescope, look at a lighthouse that was some 14 miles out to sea, and how much could they see it, right? So his opponents had claimed that only the lantern of the lighthouse, some 14 miles out to sea, would be visible. So they were correct, which is true because that's what they, And Rowbotham became convinced that the Earth was indeed round and spent the rest of his life fighting the movement he had started.
Wow. Okay.
Kind of took a turn.
I'm just gonna.
You're waiting to see us be like bullshit. Yeah, I could see it in your eyes.
I wanted to take the hope out of you guys. Yeah, it was bullshit. No, in fact, only half the lantern was visible, so their numbers were all off. However, Rowbotham still claimed that his opponents were wrong, and because he claimed he saw the whole lighthouse, it proved the Earth was indeed flat. So even though he saw what he saw, he still argued that he saw the whole thing.
Hey, I can't see the lighthouse.
Rowbotham and his opponent and his supporters kept repeating that he was correct, that many of the Plymouth people left that debate, I guess, agreeing that some of the most important conclusions of modern astronomy had been seriously invalidated. So they just kept saying, no, you're wrong, no, you're wrong, no, we're wrong, and people were convinced by it. And I actually had to set aside and write, I see a lot of connections between this and YouTubers of similar education.
So mass hysteria, dogs and cats living together, it exists. This is the thing.
Palahniuk, it's only possible with an audience.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed.
I wrote a kind of YouTube video title, Conservative Destroys College SAW Snowflake, that similar thing. Okay, I'm not going to do that.
Anyone who listened to a political debate in the last couple of weeks here, I'm sure you can also sympathize in having seen several of these things in action.
Okay. He also did a bunch of other things. He married a 16-year-old daughter of his laundress. I don't know what the hell that means, but he married a 16-year-old.
No, he didn't. You're lying.
No, he did.
Oh, he totally did.
He also patented a number of inventions, one of which was a life-preserving cylindrical railway carriage. That's all I'll say.
So an iron lung on wheels?
So blame the model.
Okay.
Yes. So, after his death, a Lady Elizabeth Blount founded the Universal Synthetic Society, which attracted thousands of followers, published a magazine called The Earth Not a Globe Review, and it remained active well into the early part of the 20th century. After World War I, the movement underwent a slow decline, but it was revived in...
You mean as more information became readily available?
Yes. Until...
That was very anticlimactic. Sorry, go ahead.
It was revived in 1956 under the name the Flat Earth Society.
I mean, the world is not a globe review is a little unwieldy as far as the title.
Is that real?
Yes.
I mean, they just didn't have a sense of panache.
You did have...
Well, because Rowbotham's original pamphlet and later book was called that.
The World Is Not a Globe.
You did pick a topic where it's really difficult to pick up anything.
Well,
bullshit.
I gave you one, and there's another lie back in there.
Okay, good.
I'll explain it because I...
Which tab?
Yes. Anyway, so put a tab in that Flat Earth Society. I'll probably come back to that in part 3.
Okay.
So let's see.
They're part of the Hellfire Club.
The last thing I'll say is kind of more of a teaser for part 2. Attack of the Proofs is what I'm calling it.
Well done. The posse.
So Yes. So in the United States, Rowbotham's ideas were taken up by the Christian Catholic Apostolic Church and promoted widely on their radio station. His work in the United States was continued by William Carpenter, who was a painter. Not a carpenter, a painter. But Reed, not a scientist.
Now, but do rainy days and Mondays always bring him down?
Maybe.
Okay.
I don't understand the reference.
The Carpenters.
Who's that?
Fuck you.
Okay. So he was originally from England. He emigrated to Baltimore and published a book called 100 Proofs the Earth is Not a Globe in 1885. That will be part 2. Like I said, Attack of the Proofs. I will go through those proofs, and if I'm not catatonic at the end, we'll go through some of them. Okay. I will read 2 of them as a teaser. So, the first one, there are rivers that flow for hundreds of miles toward the level of the sea without falling more than a few feet. Notably the Nile, which, in 1,000 miles, falls but a foot. A level expanse of this extent is quite incompatible with the idea of the Earth's convexity, or curvedness. It is therefore a reasonable proof that the Earth is not a globe. My first thought was citation needed.
Yes. And you know that it would walk 1,000 miles if it could just see you tonight.
Indeed. Mm-hmm.
Well, the last one. Sorry.
Oh, no. I think this is a very appropriate place for us to throw in our ad for this week because due to our being somewhat fixated on the flat Earth or concavity here this evening, we are sponsored by CircleSpace. Do you know, it's hard to put your best foot forward with your shoes tied together. That principle is something CircleSpace absolutely understands, and they want to be your strong support for the three-legged race that is electronic commerce. When it comes to creating your website, don't hop around like an imbecile with your shoelaces entangled. Get a leg up from some people who want to win that race just as badly as you do. Naturally, we're talking about our compatriots at CircleSpace. From crafting websites and online stores to providing marketing tools, analytics, and occasionally profiting from the grim reality that your new unique dream is just a pie-in-the-sky whimsy that'll lead you to financial ruin, CircleSpace is the all-in-one platform to help build a bountiful online presence, propel your own project across this flat Earth, or effectively run your business. With CircleSpace, you can choose from an array of templates created by world-class designers, as well as from an absurd jumble of images and code from a collective of college programming also-rans who didn't have the dedication to hack it in electronic extortion like the rest of us. And for Disinformed Podcast listeners, if you use the offer code IDIOT at checkout at circlespace.net to get 84.5% off your first fortnight of your very own living website. It's an exploding offer, so act fast before we all fly off the cliff at the end of the world. That offer code is IDIOT at checkout for 84.5665723% off your subscription to CircleSpace. CircleSpace. Maybe you can? So thank you very much, CircleSpace, for sponsoring, and we are going to get our own website designed through CircleSpace. We will have to see it from a distance of 6 miles, though, because we won't be able to actually be able to find it. Right round, like a record.
So I will end with the last teaser for the proof, and I think you guys would find this funny. I also wrote a counterpoint to that proof.
Okay. You have to dig it out, right?
A little.
Because the proof's in the pudding.
Yeah, just a little.
Okay, good.
I also I have to mix it a little bit because it's separating.
Steer it up.
Yeah. Okay, so if the Earth were a globe, a small model globe would be the very best because the truest thing for the navigator to take to sea with him. Literally, this is word for word what is written.
Okay.
Yes. But such a thing as that is not known. With such a toy as a guide, the mariner would wreck his ship. Of a certainty. Exclamation point, comma. This is a proof that Earth is not a globe.
What?
Has anyone used a compass before? Because they had some that have a circle that whirls around.
So I took that logic and I turned it on its head for shits and giggles.
Do it.
Okay. If the Earth were phallus-shaped, a small model dildo would be the very best because the truest thing for the navigator to take to sea with him. Plus, it'd help him out on lonely nights.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? But such a remarkable dildo, such as that, is not known. With such a toy as a guide, the mariner would definitely wreck his ship. That is certain.
And his prostate.
Yeah, if he's doing both at
Or
the same
her
time.
prostate.
Or their prostate,
got-
or
yeah.
our prostate, or, yeah.
Can't say your dildo. Have to say
It's a dildo. Yes.
True. But yes, so those are just 2 teasers for next time.
Hey, Pixar, it didn't happen.
Yeah.
I think I might try and translate them so that they make sense.
You're going to translate them to German, right?
Yes. And I will just yell angrily into
How
the
much worse is this gonna get?
mic. I don't know.
Are
I really
any of these
don't.
things refuted by Hannah Montana?
I think so.
Okay.
Only in the movie.
How about Billy Ray?
Not in her show.
Okay.
It's
Wow.
still,
Is Hannah Montana a truther?
No, Hannah Montana is one of our recurring characters, if you don't remember, from our most recent episodes.
on homeopathic.
The homeopathic. Homeopathy. The gentleman was Heinemann, and I kept saying Hannah Montana. Okay, cut all this.
So the one lie that you guys missed, I should have explained it a little more detail.
The one.
So the atmospheric. Well, I gave you the other one because
I
I wanted
appreciate
to
that.
drain the hope from you guys that he could be saved. No, he. As far as I know, he died a flat earther.
God.
When I described atmospheric refraction, I said that light is kind of curved because it reflects off the end of the atmosphere and comes back. Okay. I should have explained
I
a little
simply
bit
may
more.
not have been listening.
Yeah, that's fair. So
It's the old science class bit where I hear the first 3 words and then it goes, no. Yeah.
I actually
Yeah.
got what we refer to as the Krispy Kreme look. My eyes were definitely glazed over at that point. So
atmospheric refraction is essentially the idea that because the atmosphere is in a set density from up to bottom, it gets less dense the higher up you go. When you're going through different densities, it refracts light, so it bends it. So picture looking into a pool, or even like a little bucket of water or something.
How
and
if you
seeing
put
how
your finger
the
in,
pencil,
it'll-
it
yeah,
looks
I
like
gotcha.
your finger is snapped in half or something
Yeah.
like that. It's
Got
that,
it.
but it's just the air instead
it's
of water.
because it's gases in the atmosphere and all that.
Yeah. So the different densities or whatever moves the light, so it reflects it down. So that's why you can see theoretically further than you should.
Okay, and anyone who's done an Alabama hotbox will tell you that, warm air rises.
Roll Tide.
Please, do tell. What's Alabama hot box?
It's you fart under the covers and then force the person's head underneath.
Dutch oven?
No, it's the Alabama hotbox.
You got to do that to your sister.
She'll love it.
I don't know what my sister got brought into this. Why not my wife?
Well, because
They're the same
unless
person.
okay, yeah, I was gonna say I had to, you gotta verify that. Yeah.
Well, I feel as though we're starting to spiral a bit, which is unfortunate since the Earth is flat.
Well, the Earth is actually a flat spiral.
Or concave.
Or a tight butthole.
Why not all?
Puckered.
Oh, go puck yourself. Anywho, I think that is going to conclude it for this episode, ladies and germaphobes.
Yeah, I think my brain's dying.
We've been knocked out just like the pugilistic panda. And we appreciate you hanging out with us here and letting us, gab at you a bit. I also realize in the course of these recordings, I've just completely given up explaining the show. So I think we've kind of conceded the point. If you don't know what's going on now, you're probably, unfortunately, starting at the wrong spot, and you should start over. Go back
Maybe
to the
reconsider your life. Why the fuck are you doing this?
Don't listen to
Kind of
this.
Don't consider your life because they might stop listening.
No, please listen. Love us.
Don't consider.
Show us
don't
all
think.
the love.
Don't think. Just hit next.
Yes.
Don't
Hit
listen to
subscribe.
these two.
Yeah.
Hit subscribe. Give us the stars.
Reverse
give us the
psychology.
likes.
Unfollow. Report us.
You're fired, John. So, you can find us all the places disreputable podcasts are available. So, find us at your favorite podcast application and check us out there. If you want to see more of our crazy nonsense, you can find us at Instagram at Disinformed Podcast. We're on Facebook at facebook.com/Disinformed Podcast. And we're hitting the Twitters at Disinformed Pod. That is going to do it for... Sorry, I am at the point where I'm being gagged by my own phlegm, which is the title of your sex tape.
Don't let your phlegm steal my job.
Wait for it. We hope that you've enjoyed hanging out with us, everybody, for the Disinformed Podcast. I'm Shane.
I'm John.
And I'm Michael.
Praise the sun.
Thank you for coming, folks. Don't worry. It's going to run off the end of the earth anyway.